Kind greetings and welcome to the August 6, 2020 live broadcast of Triumphant Thursdays with Chaplain PJ. Our purpose is to bring to consciousness various subjects that impact and intersect with global peoples. Our goal is that you will be empowered to answer the call to action and thereby having an opportunity to experience your own Triumphant Thursdays any day of the week. Our subject tonight is the law of attraction. The law of attraction with author and guest, Chaplain Maureen Burns, who now lives in Maui, Hawaii. I anticipate that this will be a great evening with our guest, and we want to say before we bring her on a word of congratulations at the 2019 convocation of the Fellowship of Affirming Ministries, founded by our bishop, the Honorable Reverend Dr. Yvette A. Flunder, and prelate, Chaplain Maureen was ordained into the office of the chaplain. She and I are working together to have a broadcast for veterans and LGBTQ veterans plus by winter. As a matter of fact, I have invited Chaplain Maureen to be the co-host for all of the events that we have under the banner Veterans and LGBTQ Veterans Plus. So, one more thing before we bring Chaplain Maureen on. I'm asking you if you will please have a watch party, if you know how to do that, and invite others to your watch party. Call and invite your family and friends to join us. All are welcome to submit their comments, to submit their queries in the chat room. And now, ladies and gentlemen, sisters and brothers, we welcome to the stage, so to speak, Maureen F. Burns, Chaplain Maureen F. Burns. We can't forget the F, we can't forget the chaplain. How about that?
All right.
Well, Chaplain, one of the things that I'm asking our incredible administrator to put up before we start talking is a copy, a picture of your book. And there it is, friends, The Midas Touch. And Chaplain Maureen's is one of the authors in this collective. And I had an opportunity to complete the book. And tonight I expect that we are going to have a hearty conversation around the chapter that Chaplain Maureen wrote. And that chapter is entitled, Chaplain,
A Dream Deferred.
A Dream Deferred. You know, as I was reading it, I found myself trying to grow, I found myself trying to get into your soul, to get into your spirit, to get into your mind and experience what you experienced in writing your chapter, A Dream Deferred. And of course, I have a couple of questions, but
no problem.
But before I ask those questions, I want to share with you that I was as successful as possible to get into a frame of mind that I think you were in when you wrote this chapter. A lot of that I was able to do because we are both chaplains. Right. A lot of that I was able to do because we are both veterans. And even more to the point, we are members of the Fellowship of Affirming Ministries.
Yes, ma'am.
And we are covered by our bishop, and we are elevated by our bishop. You to chaplain, and me to the National TFAM Veteran Support Group chaplain. And so here we are working together. And if you would please, I would like for you to talk about the few essentials, the few essential keys to success. And that's on page 188, 189, if you have your book in front of you. And let me say that for the most part, I would say 70% of the writers are pretty much affirming the first two that you have listed. Talk about the first one.
Well,
Find
the
faith and
first
believe.
one is to find faith and to believe. It's very hard to make any transformation of yourself if it's just yourself working on it. You need to get outside of yourself and be bigger than yourself and realize that you always have been bigger than yourself. If you look at your body, you know you are not your body because you can see and feel your body. If you close your eyes, you can think your thoughts, so you're not your mind. So who are you? If you close your eyes and you think about it, you are the soul. I call it the soul. People call it other things, but you are the soul behind the thoughts. You are the thinker behind the thoughts. That's who you are, and that's where you are. And that's the place where you can connect to a higher power, if you want to call it, or God, or divine being, Heavenly Father, whatever phrase you choose to use. When you get into that space of realizing who you really are at a core, which is energy, then you can raise your vibrational frequency, your energy level, up to a level where you can connect and make that divine connection.
So, are you in conflict as a Christian? Do you ever find yourself in conflict calling your higher power, as opposed to putting a name to it?
No, not at all. I happen to also be a recovering alcoholic. I've got 35 years of sobriety. And so when I first went into AA, that's what I referred to God as, was my higher power, because I wasn't ready yet to say Jesus and God.
Okay.
I had a problem with that at the time.
Okay.
But now in my life, I'm very comfortable saying that Jesus is my savior, and I'm very comfortable with the phrase God. But that wasn't always true for me. I'm a recovering Catholic.
And what does that have to do with what you call God?
Well, as a recovering Catholic, I was raised in a church where women don't really matter that much. And everything is male oriented to the priest and to the bishops in the Catholic Church. And so God is always masculine, and the guy in the sky with the gray hair and the beard reaching out to Adam at the Sistine Chapel. That's who God is. I don't want that angry God. I don't need that angry God.
Yep.
That's not the God that I know when I close my eyes and I get behind my thoughts.
Yes.
That's not who comes to greet me.
So how do you reconcile the love of God with the wrath of God?
I really don't believe in the wrath of God. I believe that we learn lessons from things that we experience in life, and you either get a blessing or you get a lesson.
I like that. You get a blessing or you get a lesson. Very, very good. Okay. So from we get a response. I love that. Thank you. I love it too. What is the number 2 essential key to success?
Well, I'm not sure what order I have them in without looking over at this, but I would say the second most important thing is gratitude.
Okay. Now there
Uh,
is one before gratitude. Gratitude is one of them, and it is with God. You can always have a second chance at a
a
first
first
rate.
class life. Yeah,
There you
first class
go.
life. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit.
Well, a lot of times we do something in our life and get off track, and we have so much shame and blame and guilt and fear that we don't think that we can come to God and meet Him on the same level, or her, if you prefer, meet God on the same level, and just be able to say, I repent, I made a mistake, and here I am, and let's start this whole process over again.
Yes.
But God is always in that mood. God is always ready to forgive. God is always ready to forget. God is always ready for you to transform. God created the caterpillar and the butterfly.
How about that? And they're one and the same, are they not?
Exactly. And so are we. That's my
Yes.
point. We
And
may
so
have,
as
we
we
may,
are inching along through our valleys, and as a caterpillar, as we are inching along through our valleys and through our trials and through our tribulations and getting really roughed up, there comes that day when God provides a shelter that the caterpillar knows as a cocoon, as a cocoon.
yeah, but you'll notice that when you're in the cocoon, you have to struggle and you have to beat your wings against it to get out. It doesn't just happen.
It doesn't just happen. Excuse me.
But if you hang on in there, you will learn to fly eventually.
I believe I can fly. I want to say in response to my son Daryl, who has put into the public chat, hi mom, hi son, how are you tonight? Okay, and thank you so much for joining us. So we have the first and the second. We've got the first to find faith and believe, the second to take your caterpillar life and crawl up in a cocoon.
That's right.
And then at the
Better known as the loving arms of Jesus.
absolutely. And then at the appointed time, kind of stretch yourself and flap your wings and wiggle yourself out of what has been and continue with what is.
That's right.
Okay, and you hit on the third one, experiencing gratitude. I have found that there's the story in the yes, there's a story in the Bible. And as children, we learned a song regarding that story in the Bible. And it's about the foolish man, the foolish person that built his house upon the sand, and the wise man that built his house upon the rock. And the rains came tumbling down. And with the wise person, with the person that built the house on the sand, it flopped. It washed away, because that's what sand does. Kind of washes the foundation of whatever is built on it away. But the one that built their house on the rock, the little song ended with, so build your house on the Lord Jesus Christ. And when the praises go up, the blessings come down. I think that
Yeah.
that's been a long time. That's been a long time ago. But the point is, hello, Minister Alizé. Minister Alizé is our transgender minister at Faith Space for Grace Without Walls. Welcome. And so I'm not certain of the gratitude, praises going up, thankfulness going up, showing gratitude toward family, showing gratitude toward friends, being generous with your gratitude towards God is key. Not only in, well, I'll let you tell. I'll ask you to share it with folks. What have you experienced as you express gratitude? And
Well,
please don't tell us about that beautiful place there in Maui, Hawaii. Hawaii. I tell you, that is something. That is something. And the audience won't know until we tell them that your hair was blowing in the breeze because you are on the patio, and the wind is just coming. I don't know whether to move to Maui or whether to just be grateful that you are in Maui. I think I'll just be grateful that you're in Maui. I don't
all
know
right.
quite ready to come that far from the mainland.
There's always a guest bedroom.
Say again.
There's always a guest bedroom.
Thank you. Thank you. We have a question we have a statement from the listening audience. And I think the answer to that statement is to again ask our administrator if she would put up the copy of the book. And son, you may find all of the information you could ever want about the list and definitions by copying what the administrator has put up there, the essential keys to success, and by purchasing the book at Amazon.com. Okay.
You can also get it on Kindle. It's
And
cheaper.
you can also,
It's cheaper on Kindle. You
it's
can get
cheaper on Kindle?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, it's cheaper on Kindle. We also want to welcome Tanish Natal. You know Tanish Natal.
Hey,
don't you?
Tanish.
Yes.
Hey, Tanish.
And I got a call this week, if I can pause here, and I'll share more with you about it after the broadcast. I got a call. I had a conversation this week with Bishop Tony down in Tijuana.
Right.
So you and I, and you and I, we're going to be doing some work together. How about that?
That's all right. I can deal with that.
I love it.
I'm the one who drove Tony down to Mexico when he moved. We loaded all of his stuff up into a truck, and I drove the truck down with 5 Chihuahua puppies in the back.
Oh my goodness. Well, it was a wonderful conversation, and I look forward to the three of us connecting and having further conversation. And at some point, I would love for the Bishop Tony to be our guest on Triumphant Thursdays. So there, the administrator has also put in the chat the link to Amazon for the Midas Touch. And so let's see, did we put it in there twice? That's fine. Oh my goodness, I cannot believe that it is 9 o'clock already. Let's finish talking about gratitude. Let's exhaust that, because it's very difficult to have an attitude of gratitude when your world is falling apart. I mean, it's difficult to have. You don't think so?
Nope.
Okay.
Are you breathing? Are you breathing?
Yeah.
There's something to be grateful for.
Okay. All right.
You can start there. Can you put your feet on the floor and stand up?
Okay.
There you go. Can you see this and hear this conversation?
Yes.
There you go. It's not hard. There's always something to be grateful for.
There's always a silver lining, isn't it? No matter how thunderous the clouds look, how thick and dark they may look, there's somewhere, there's a rainbow. If it's raining and the sun is shining somewhere, there's a rainbow somewhere. Okay.
But as far as the law of attraction goes, it's necessary to have gratitude. I suggest having a gratitude journal where every night before you go to bed, you write down 5 things that you're grateful for. and you try to change those 5 things each day. So one day it may just be your dinner that you liked having chicken and mashed potatoes and broccoli, and the next day it may be that you're getting on a flight to go see your friend Maureen.
How
But
about that?
whatever it is, you just write down 5 things it's better to do it at the end of the day. That way you have 5 things that you can think of.
Okay.
But as far as the law of attraction works, you can't raise your vibrational frequency to the next level unless you're already expressing gratitude for what you presently have.
Uh-huh.
Like
That
I
was
do,
cool.
like I do have this beautiful home in Hawaii, and I'm extremely grateful for it. But I want to keep on going, and I want to get a recovery center for recovering alcoholics that are dual diagnosis. That's my dream.
And when you say dual diagnosis, you mean recovering alcoholic and recovering.
Mental health condition.
Okay. Okay. Outstanding. We love you too, Sister Tanish. So, yes, I noticed that was one of the things that you wrote, to keep a gratitude journal. Now, that's a very different journal than a journal where you perhaps write down your reflections, or write down your prayers, or write down an experience that you want to remember, or a dream that you may want to remember. Now, can that all be combined, or do you recommend?
Sure. But I'm just saying, just 5 little lines. I am grateful for XYZ. I am grateful for XYZ. Just jot 5 little things down, and then go ahead and go into your journal and write about your day, or whatever you want to, or whatever else. It can be combined with the journal you already have. There's no
Okay.
problem with that. But I just say gratitude journal because I keep those 5 things I'm grateful for separate in my particular life. That's the way I do it. I have a book next to my bed, and I write 5 things each night when I go to sleep. And when I have one of those days, because we all have them,
Yes, we
when I
do.
have one of those days, I go in and I pick up my gratitude journal, and I look back at some past days and say, my God, what a life I have.
Yes. Yes, and that's key. That is key, and because practicing gratitude will puts a smile on my face. As a matter of fact, when I was reading your chapter today, I kind of chuckled out loud, and I said, "I know, Lord, I know, I understand that chuckle, because I was so when my soul is touched, by music, by by a poem, by something that I read in a book, remembering a conversation, visualizing a friend, I tend to laugh because it tickles my soul. It gives me such joy. And I think that joy and gratitude are connectors.
I call it an attitude of gratitude.
Attitude of gratitude and a heart full of joy. They kind of go together, don't they?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And greetings also to you, Sherman Scott. Hello, Soror Gwendolyn, who gives us can you see the message, Chaplain Maureen? Can you
Yes.
see the comment from Gwendolyn Burns, from Gwendolyn Bodyford?
No, I only have comments from Sue.
Okay. Click over.
I see it now. It just came up on the screen.
Okay. Yes, it just came up on the screen. Thank you. Thank you, Soror Gwendolyn.
Yes,
Good to
thank
see
you,
you
Gwendolyn.
tonight. I don't know if you've met, no, I don't think that you've met Soror Gwendolyn. She is a very dear friend who invited me to become an honorary member of her church, Trinity AME Church here in Lansing, where my colleague, the awesome Reverend Pastor Lila Rose Martin, is the senior pastor. And both of those individuals are incredible, incredible people. And before I forget, we want to pause for a moment and acknowledge two of our beloved fallen civil rights leaders. We want to give a shout out to the family of the Honorable John Lewis, and we want to give a shout out to the Reverend Dr. C.T. Vivian, both of whom were civil rights activists extraordinaire. And we want the families to know that we are praying for you and that we love you and that we appreciate you sharing your husband, your father, your son. Well, I suppose their parents are probably no longer with us, but sharing them with the world. They have made an incredible dent in the process and progress toward equality for all. So we're also going to stop here, Maureen Burns, and when we come back, we want to tell me more, son. Tell me more about who she is. We also want to, when we come back, to talk about the frequencies, raising energy, and what that means. But for right now, we want to pause for station identification and to give a shout out to our incredible administrator, Pastor Sue, the Fellowship of Affirming Ministries National Youth Minister, founded by my pastor and our prelate, the Honorable Reverend Dr. Bishop Yvette A. Flunder. We also give a shout out to Pastor Sue's pastor, the Reverend Dr. and Bishop-elect Vanessa N. Brown, Rivers of Living Water, United Church of Christ, New York, New Jersey, and to Prophet Tawana and First Lady-elect. We will ask Pastor Sue if she will put up that reference to Prophet Tawana. Isn't that beautiful? And while she is there, while the prophet speaks is there in the form of an announcement, we also want to give a shout out to the work of, this is just one expression of the work of Pastor Sue. So we will next ask her to highlight herself and her organization, Kara Solutions. Outstanding. And of course, we're going to put up the Triumphant Thursdays with Chaplain PJ that will also announce Next week's broadcast, that too is the work of the incredible Pastor Sue. And we want to put up, last but not least, the announcement with Bishop elect thereon, showing there's Bishop elect with her arms slightly crossed and her shepherd's table. And as you can see, Pastor Sue is among them. Some of you may recognize Bishop Joseph Tolton and some of the others. And so these are the things that we are so proud to show off on behalf of Cara Solutions. And if there are those of you among us who are interested in acquiring her services, I think that she has something else that she's going to post momentarily. And first of all, of course, this is a banner, and you can get such a banner for $50. I believe it's $50 initially to be set up. And then there is a certain amount that you will need to pay for the banner to show up every week. So, is that in your backyard, Chaplain Sue? Are there people talking and dogs barking? Is that you, Chaplain?
No.
No? Okay. All right. So there we have our highlights for the evening. And now that we are back, if you would please put the banner up listing the essentials, the key essentials to success. And let us continue. We've talked about gratitude. Let's go back and look at number 2. All things are possible with the help of a higher power. I think we've already talked about that. Experience gratitude. Oh, here's a biggie. Forgive.
Yes.
Now, I will admit that theologically speaking, I would appreciate some comments from the listening and viewing audience regarding this little clip in the disciples' prayer. And I say the disciples' prayer because the Lord's prayer is John 21, but the disciples' prayer is the Our Father prayer. And in that prayer, there's a couple of lines there that reads, forgive as you are forgiven. Or some people may say, unless you forgive, our Father in heaven will not forgive us. Well, I don't see God as quite that punitive. I think that it is important for us to forgive for a whole lot of other reasons. And I think that when we ask for forgiveness, that God forgives us whether we forgive somebody else or not. Would you agree with that?
Yes, no doubt.
Okay.
God doesn't judge us like we judge.
Correct. Okay, so now that we've cleared up that little matter, what is your definition of forgiveness?
Well, let me actually give you an example from my life that you know from reading my story. I was gang raped. I was abducted, beaten into submission, and gang raped by 3 male drill sergeants in Fort Jackson, South Carolina, way back in 1980. And I'm not going to lie to you and say I immediately said, I forgive you, everything's fine, no problem. I did not do that. I had hatred in my heart for quite a while. And what it caused me to do was become an alcoholic because I couldn't handle having the thoughts come back into my head, replaying it over and over. I couldn't get away from it. When I closed my eyes, they were right in the room with me because I had hatred towards them. Now, the way I think about it is they were 10, 15 years older than me. I'm 60, which means they're 70, 75. God bless them. At least one of them has a venereal disease because he gave it to me and I had to have a radical hysterectomy. So at least one of them's probably had his pee-pee fall off by now. and they're old men, and they have to go before God when they die and explain why they did what they did to me. Yes. They know what they did. They have to live with that. They have to live with the hatred they felt in their hearts that would cause them to do such a despicable act. When I go before God, all I have to do is say, I'm here. Hello, how you doing?
Okay.
I don't have anything on my plate. I don't have any hatred in my heart. Okay. And the other thing that's important to realize about forgiveness is it's not about the other person. I'm not forgiving them and saying that they got carte blanche and the rape didn't happen. The rape happened and it was wrong. What I forgive is my feelings of hatred towards that incident. Because as long as I do not have forgiveness, I am imprisoned.
Yes.
I am locked into that other person.
Oh,
I can't let them go. They haunt my dreams. As long as I'm mad at somebody, they haunt my dreams. I go over and over and over in my head what I'm going to say to them and how I'm going to say it and how I'm going to get even and how I'm going to tell them this. And I'm the only one getting mad. There's no one else in the room. It's stupid.
Well, I'm not laughing at you. That makes perfect sense to me. That makes perfect sense to me that, well, there's something else happens though when we refuse to forgive. We become bitter.
Yes.
We become brittle. We become resentful.
And we are filled with shame and don't dare to go before God because we know we have hatred in our hearts.
Does hatred make us shameful?
It can. It can make you feel like if you go before God and you know you have hatred in your heart, doesn't it say to go up to the altar and forgive your brother before?
Yes.
And it says that clearly in the Bible. It's there.
Yes. Yes. To forgive. And what about self-forgiveness? How does all this play into forgiving the other person? Does it not begin with forgiving oneself?
Yes, I was judging myself because I was so angry and so bitter. And like I said, became an alcoholic in reaction to it. Mm-hmm. I ended up being able to come sober, and I have 35 years of sobriety today. I haven't had a drink in all those years. And my life has been blessed as a result of making that choice, which may not have happened had the incident not happened. So I'm very grateful, but I had to forgive myself because I was thinking badly of myself and having all kinds of shame because I knew I was bitter. I knew I was being bad. I knew I was hating my brothers. I knew that I held hatred in my heart. And I thought, what kind of minister can I be? How can I tell other people to forgive? And how can I tell other people to try to reconcile with their brothers? What kind of minister can I be if I have hatred in my heart? I have to forgive myself for feeling those feelings.
And perhaps even more importantly, what kind of a person can I be?
Right. I'm only human, so there's things that are going to come up. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But the quicker I can let them go, the quicker I bounce back, and I'm unsinkable.
And so now you are set totally free.
Yeah, unsinkable, I call it.
You call it being unsinkable.
Unsinkable. When you go to the Dead Sea in Jerusalem, in Israel, you cannot sink in the Dead Sea. It has such a high salt content. You cannot sink in the Dead Sea. And the Dead Sea is in the middle of Israel, and that's God's land, as we know. And so I'm unsinkable. No matter what comes at me, I'm unsinkable.
That's awesome. That is awesome. You're learning me tonight. You're learning me. And last, before we go into the levels of frequency, uh, when you say seek and embrace support, is that kind of like you going to AA because you realized that you needed help? Is that one of the reasons that you took this course with Joe Vitale and became a coach in the law of attraction and transformation is possible?
Yes, definitely. But I want to address something more specific than that since we're both veterans.
Okay.
As veterans, we need help and support when we come back home. We
Yes.
don't think the same way that other people think when
No,
you
we
see
don't.
combat. And even if you haven't seen combat, just having been in the rank and file and having to deal with the authority issues and having to live a life where you're brainwashed to a degree to be able to be rank and file, we think differently once we've been veterans.
Yes, we do.
And so when we come home, we need to go to a vet center or a relocation center or reach out to someone that's a fellow veteran so that we can be able to deal with the issues that we have that other people that are not veterans do not understand.
And I think it would be this is a good time. This is the perfect segue to invite veterans who are on the call, to invite veterans who are watching the broadcast, to send us an email so that we can continually be in touch with veterans as we build our clientele, for lack of a better word, as we build our constituency, as we build the veteran and LGBTQ veteran plus network, that we can that our program can also be of help to veterans. And I think that that's a good idea as we move along and develop this ministry. We certainly want it to be a nationwide ministry, and
Yes.
at some point, perhaps even go up the chain of command to become recognized by the Defense Department. So, so we only have a couple of more minutes, and I suspect that what happened last week is going to happen again this week. We are going to run out of time and carry it over to next week, because this is an important a conversation for people to have about the law of attraction and understanding the essential keys to entering into the law of practicing the law of attraction.
Let me say one more thing about the law of attraction where I talk about seek and embrace support.
Please.
You can study it on your own. You can watch the movie The Secret, which I highly recommend to everybody out there. The movie The Secret is wonderful, but it'll just give you a glimpse. There's also another movie called I Don't Know What the Bleep is Happening. And
It's another good one.
those are good movies and good books that'll get you on your way and get you started. But if you really want to advance quickly and learn how the law of attraction works, get yourself a mentor. Get yourself somebody that's already working in the law of attraction. I have Joe Vitale. I have Natalie Ledwell, who does mind movies. I have other people that have helped me along the way. Or get yourself a coach. I am a life coach. There are plenty of other life coaches out there that specifically teach on the law of attraction. And if you can't find a millionaire in your neighborhood that can be a mentor, find one in the library. Go to the library and find books written on by people like Neville Goddard, who talks about envisioning things as already done. Like if you want a car, you don't just say you want a car, you go down and you test drive it. You see yourself in the car. You take some kind of action. Neville Goddard was from the turn of the century. P.T. Barnum the guy who ran the circus. He was a fantastic entrepreneur. He had all kinds of business ideas. So there's all kinds of teachers out there. Joe Vitale, of course, I'd highly recommend. Tony Robbins, the success coach, I would highly recommend.
Eckhart Tolle.
Eckhart Tolle.
The Power of Now.
There are plenty of people out there, and you can get their books online or through Kindle, and you can read their books and get in their minds as they were writing, like you did with my chapter. You can get in their minds and start to understand how to see from their perspective, and you'll shift your own perspective much faster than if you try to do the work on your own.
Mm-hmm. In one of the chapters, and since I've read them all, I don't remember which one it is, but one of the writers really pushed very hard, not doing this by yourself.
Right.
Do not because it's going to. I was so happy when one of the authors put in writing, because we have been assimilated, because we have been socialized from the cradle to adulthood and beyond, that much of that will stop working for us when we get into expanding the way we look at life, the way we solve problems, the way we go through challenges. If we're going to choose the law of attraction and transformation is possible, and getting into the coaching, there are some things that we have to unlearn. They may have
limiting paradigms, they call them.
What do they call them?
Limiting paradigms.
Yes, we
have. Paradigms is a group of thoughts that are so embedded in your mind, you don't even realize you have them. If I say money doesn't grow on
trees,
you just said trees. If I say money is the root of all
evil,
you just said evil.
Yes.
We have those so ingrained in our brains in the United States that we don't even think about them. A person from China wouldn't think of that phrase.
Right.
But we've been taught subconsciously that money is a bad thing.
And you know what, Mary Morris, do you know, you're probably familiar with the name Mary Morrissey?
Mary Menon Morrissey, Reverend Mary Menon Morrissey.
Of course. Her husband has the counter comment, money doesn't grow on trees. And his counter to that is pennies from heaven. He even sings it as a way of unlearning how limiting it is to think that money does not grow on trees, but how freeing it is to say pennies come from Reverend Maureen, Chaplain Maureen, we are done for the night. So I want to say to the listening group, the folks online with us, the folks on cell phones with us, we thank you so very much for being with us tonight. And we have just a few things before we actually say good night until next week. And the first thing that we want to say, to ask you to do, is to join the Greater Lansing NAACP or an NAACP chapter in your area. Number two, if you are able and willing, please call tomorrow. Call your clerk, your city clerk, and request a mail-in ballot to vote. The sooner we get this done, the sooner we request it, the sooner we can fill it out and get it back, because our beloved commander-in-chief is trying to take away the opportunity of voting by mail. He is taking down some of the, he is putting on quite a bit of pressure to ask the post office to slow the mail down. And so you don't want September 1st to come in here and you have not requested your ballot and sent your ballot in, please. And if you have not registered, please do so by requesting the ballot and then plan to vote. Number three, uh, well, you see here, get your mail in ballot and vote and ask 5 people to call for the mail in ballot and vote. Number three, when you pray, please get into the habit of praying for yourself. It is not a selfish thing to do. Is to have a conversation with God about you. How else can you draw closer to the divine? How else can the divine draw closer to you? Unless you have conversation and learn to be still and listen to the divine's response. So pray for yourself and pray for your family. We'd like to ask you to put on your list of persons to pray for the Bodiford family, uh, meaning Gwendolyn Bodiford, her sisters, her brother, and her mother. I had the names handy earlier on. I don't have them handy right now, but if you could remember the Bodiford, Bodiford, the Bodiford family, we would appreciate that. Also, remember my family. My first cousin, the Reverend Jesse Ellsworth Jackson, who is a maestro in his own right, is in the final hours of his life. So please remember the Anderson and Jackson family in your prayers. If you have a prayer request, please type it in the comments, and we will be certain to ask the listening and the viewing audience to remember you in their prayers also. We love to give you an update that we are reaching viewers and listeners from as far east as the motherland and as far west as Maui and as far south as Tijuana and all over the United States of America. And we are grateful. We are grateful for you being with us. And last but not least, if you would like to be on Thursday, Triumphant Thursdays with Chaplain PJ, please send me a message at Dr. PJ Anderson at spaceforgrace.org. And I know that somebody is working with that because we heard from Tijuana. Tijuana contacted me at Dr. PJ Anderson at spaceforgrace.org. Okay, let's see. We don't want to forget to ask for a donation. And I understand that that sometimes people are reluctant to give online, and I have a good understanding of that. Some people like to have a reason to donate, and I could probably give you 1,000 reasons to donate. But let me just share in advance what we have in mind. We have in mind of contracting with Chaplain Maureen and with Pastor Sue as an administrator as we build the veteran and LGBTQ veteran plus network, providing workshops, counseling, and other services for our veterans, across the country, particularly those that are in the United Church of Christ and in the Fellowship of Affirming Ministries. So, we're going to put up our friendship phrase because we also want to pose this to you. If you ask me how long I'll be your friend, my answer will be, I don't know, because I really don't know which one is longer, forever or always. And so until then, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. And we will further elaborate on that by saying that the wisest king that ever lived, King Solomon, writes in Proverbs, whatever a person thinks, and that comes from the heart, something else that we'll be talking about with Chaplain Maureen, that the key to the law of attraction is to pray, is to think from the heart.
Amen.
And it is. God bless you, and good night.
Good night.